Hi, I'm Gil Kennedy, President and CEO of Har-co Credit Union.
Today I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing Jennifer Farrell, Executive Director of the Community Foundation of Harford County. Thanks for taking time for us, Jennifer, out of your busy day.
Thank you, Gil. I'm very happy to be here on this beautiful day.
You know, it's spring and we're outside and we're socially distanced.
Yes.
How about that? Jennifer, why don't you tell me a little bit about the Community Foundation of Harford County, its origins and the programs that it's running and
Sure.
things like that. So,
Absolutely. So we were started, we're sort of a young community foundation as community foundations go. A bunch of people came together in Harford County. There were bank leaders. I think the county government was involved, and they just said, you know, we're one of the only areas in Maryland that aren't covered by a community foundation, and we really feel like we need one. So at this point, we're the only community foundation in the Northeast. The thing about community foundations is that they sort of meet the needs of whatever's happening in the world. So just to give you an idea of a program, I joined this community foundation on March 23rd of 2020, which we all
my
remember
goodness.
as a very exciting time, a very scary time for our world. So really the thing that I thought was important to dive into was really doing some COVID-19 fundraising for nonprofits. So that's really what we did, and that's what we made our big focus on last year, in addition to our normal scholarships and normal grants. Was really doing some COVID-19 fundraising, getting out to seeing what nonprofits needed, what nonprofits were being hit really hard. Of course, there were the food banks, you know, anything that shelters our vulnerable citizens were having trouble because they needed to find new places for these people. So that was really what we did, and we got a lot of money out. We got over $120,000.
wow, that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Certainly, needs were certainly abundant.
Yes.
Through this last year, no
Yes.
doubt about it. So if we look beyond COVID and we hopefully get back to some form of normalcy, what are some of the other ideas that you have to grow the foundation?
So a lot of what we do, and a lot of what's really enjoyable for me, is families that are already philanthropic. You know, they're already writing checks throughout the year to their nonprofits that they love. They can come to the Community Foundation and say, you know, I'd really like to formalize this a little bit. I'm tired of keeping track of all these donation receipts and having to give them to my tax advisor. So, and they might also want a little bit of guidance on philanthropy in Harford County. They might say, you know, hey, we're kind of interested in supporting homelessness, but we don't really know what's going on in the county in homelessness. Like, what can you tell us? So those families will come and open something called a donor advised fund, which is sort of like a little, you know, you've all heard of like private family foundations. You can really have one of those at a community foundation.
Wow.
Without having to hire an executive director and pay all that salary. You're under our 501c3, and you use that donor advised fund as really your family's foundation, and you can make grants to charities throughout the year in your name. You can leave a gift to it at your death so that those gifts continue on and on forever as your legacy and
Wow.
to support Harford County. And on top of that, of course, we have our scholarships. We have a lot of scholarships. Some of them are often started in memory of someone. When someone passes, the family comes together and decides a scholarship would be a good way to memorialize that person's life. And then we have people that come to us that just say, hey, I've had a liquidity event. I know that I want to do something charitable. I'm going to give you these dollars. And we know that community foundations are designed to make the highest and best use of philanthropic dollars. And that's what we'll do. And we can do it for families forever, or we can do it just over a couple of years.
So does this mean you have to have a lot of money to be able to do that, or is it?
Not a lot of money. So most community foundations have a $10,000 threshold to open any of those kinds of funds. Of course, that changes when it's something like a memorial fund,
Sure.
because we know that gifts are going to kind of trickle in for a while that person's sort of, you know, the memorial activities are going on, anniversaries. So we really give people 3 years to get to that 10,000 before they can start making grants. But that gives people a little more wiggle room because, you know, we don't want it to seem like it's inaccessible to people.
So if myself or my members or my family members want to consider doing something via their estate, that could be something that could come play into the cards. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's really, for me, one of the absolutely most beautiful things about a community foundation, because community foundations have something a little unique called variance power. So let's say that you decide you want to open a fund at your death that will support a nonprofit that you've chosen forever. You want that nonprofit to get a check in you and your family's name every year in perpetuity. Heaven forbid something happens, that nonprofit folds. What the Community Foundation is tasked to do, and what we legally have to do and take very seriously, is use that variance power to find a nonprofit that's doing as close as possible to that type of work that you wanted supported forever.
Wow.
So no matter what you say you'd like us to do, that's what we will do. We're always reviewing fund agreements to say, are we still doing exactly what this person that may have died 10 years ago wanted us to do? I mean, it's a big part of what we really focus on.
So the terms of my wishes will always stay in perpetuity.
Absolutely.
Until either the fund runs out or...
Absolutely.
Right.
And really, an important thing really to note is that how we invest funds, and that's another unique thing about community foundations, is we do invest our philanthropic dollars with Brown Advisory. So really the idea is that, once you open these funds, they'll grow so that the gifts to those charities get bigger every year. Of course, we can't predict the market, but that's really the goal, is that, one day your fund might be spending 500, 10 years later, who knows what it could be spending.
Sure, wow. So if my members of the community at large were to have some interest in this spotlight, how would they wind up getting in touch with you, and what would be their next steps?
So they can absolutely give us a call. I try to be at the office, especially now at these times. I'm in less in-person meetings. I don't know how long that will be, but please give us a call at the office. And then my email, of course, but if you'd like to get a quick email, it's info@cfharfordcounty.org.
I say, okay, doke. Well, is there anything else that you want to leave us with as it relates to the wonderful and beautiful things that your organization does?
No, I just think we'd like people to know that we're here, and we really are a really special philanthropic resource. And a lot of people, it can be hard to wrap your arms around it, but once you get it, you're like, wow, this is such a great thing that we have for Harford County, and we're just focused in Harford County. Our money stays here, our board is here, there's no other kind of governing organization. We are fully Harford County born and bred, and we are going to support this county in perpetuity.
I am so glad that we had this chance to talk. It's so important to get messages out to the community at large, and certainly we'll get messages out to my members as well.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank everyone for watching this video, and please remember to like us on Facebook. Thanks.